Hey guys, how's it going? Us again.
Hello.
Eh, got my son back down from his little visit with his mom, so this one's not going to be too long of a video. But we were talking about the four options I talked about in the last video as to what it is that we're going to go for here. I tried to sell him on the Run 8, the RTS 2 thing. Um, he's not buying it because he doesn't he feels that we probably have more of a purpose, or at least to chart our own destiny, if you will, and do something that either it hasn't been done in a while, or do something that has not been done to our knowledge. And I kind of like the challenge of that, especially one that I feel I'm skilled to do. Um, Now, I'm impartial when it comes to, well, I shouldn't say I'm impartial. I certainly do like dispatching. I enjoy dispatching a little bit more, and I know that dispatching kind of gives me especially with train dispatcher, it kind of gives me an easy backbone as to how to do things. But since we already have a train dispatcher program out there, one, the market for a train dispatcher might not be that big, but also I think something new and exciting that's not been done would be more appealing. And I started thinking about, even, and we've been thinking about this all day, brainstorming, going through different things, how we're going to code it, um, what we're going to use as an example as a start. And Barstow comes to mind, the real Barstow, not the Run 8 Barstow, but I'm talking about the actual bull size of Barstow. If I can find a good, well, I probably can just go into Google Earth and get a pretty good idea as to the size of the yard, and take it from there.
I
And
know a hard challenge.
what?
We could try Mac.
Mac Yard would be kind of cool in Toronto. Um,
North Platte.
North Platte, yes, yeah. There's all kinds. Um, well, the humps. I wouldn't start out with the hump though, Emmett.
No.
I wouldn't start with the hump. I would actually start with the more basic elements, just to get the idea of how to do it. Now, like I said, train dispatching is kind of more up my sleeve, but there's an interesting little element to having a Yardmaster simulator that would be interesting. And I kind of described it as this. First of all, like I said, I already talked about RTS 2. And yes, it would be very easy for me to keep dragging RTS 2, and maybe someday I will do RTS 2. Maybe when version 3 comes out, maybe not, maybe, I don't know. I really don't know, to be honest. And I know that's a bit of a downer for those of you that want to see it. Um, but number one, it's spaghetti code. Number two, no matter what I do in it, I don't know if it's going to really keep my interest in it for very long. And I kind of want to put in another challenge to myself, to my son Emmett, and to be able to do something that either needs to be done or could be done. I don't know, needs to be done is the right answer. That might be too dynamic. So, I looked, or I talked about earlier about this thing here. We're going to forego the whole, what we were doing earlier about the freight yard manager and the nice looking graphics. We're not worried about doing the graphics. as far as the sprites. So there is going to be no sprites. There's not going to be any collisions. There's not going to be any of that. We're going to go with the generic panels, or the computer, the CRT monitors, and basically go with a similar pattern that you would see here in a train dispatcher display into a Yardmaster display. Now, as I said before, the zoom in, zoom out is not good enough for today's wider monitors. However, I believe I can zoom in further than this with the code. The way it would work for a basic yard, the way I foresee it, is a Yardmaster, from my experience running a live yard, both in simulation, either in Run 8 at Barstow, or running an actual flat yard in a model railroad at our old model railroad club.
Mm-hmm.
The model railroad club actually represented a 20-track yard at Sudbury, which is actually a nice one that we might be able to model.
Yeah, Sudbury we probably could model. Another one's Capriel that came to mind. That's a very easy one.
Yeah, but you need. I'm talking about getting data.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure. It's kind of weird because I probably can get my hands on the data because I still belong to the Waterloo Regional Model Railroad Club group, that I can probably get my hands on the data that would allow me to figure out. I think I still have a copy of all the cards.
Mm-hmm, I think so.
I don't know where the files are exactly, but...
Do you think we could do Oakville? I mean, Aldershot?
Yeah, we could do Aldershot.
Because that's a fair-sized yard.
Well, you're more interested in the hump.
Yeah, humps would be fun.
So if you're more interested in the hump, probably based on the amount of data that I have, and the amount of data that myself and Scott and others can provide, Barstow would probably be the pick.
Mm-hmm.
Or we could do Waycross. Waycross is another one.
Ooh, that's.
Or we could do Selkirk, the real Selkirk.
Selkirk, I think, would be nice.
Yeah, because Selkirk, I could probably, I could probably get a lot of data on. I'd love to do Mac.
Yeah, I think eventually we can do Mac.
Well, the thing is, here's the thing, and this is why I'm very. I really want something that the entire community can develop. And I'm going to go back to my whole bickering with Run 8 again. And it's their business model, and that, like I said, they can run the business however they want. So their business model basically is they're the ones that supply the content, authorize the third-party developers, etc., and the consumer, the one who actually buys the product as is, like it is. You buy something, you're basically buying. There's no guarantees that a developer is going to communicate with the community, update their website, update their content. If they do that, it's just a bonus, and it helps give a rapport to the community. It helps keep the bond with the consumers, and really keeps them involved in the process. Now, Run 8 has traditionally in the past, although they've never been really open to talking too much about their product, what they have been able to do is use the community's ideas and try to develop with the community, at least more so in the past than what we see now, or at least that's the way I see it, because they're more exclusive to certain groups. And yeah, okay, they're busy, they have personal lives, whatever, I don't know, personal issues. Like I said, this isn't about knock and run aid. I'm just saying. I, however, feel the Microsoft Train Simulator model works the best, as does the Train Dispatcher 3 model. And both of those models work very simple. Train Dispatcher 3 was developed by Signal Computer Consultants, or whatever the hell they were called, until they gave up on the project. And what they did was they created a track builder and a train dispatcher program. So you had a piece of software of what you see is what you get, that you could actually build these routes, and people could actually build routes by having the track builders. So they were able to get a second source of revenue for those that wanted to build routes. And Train Dispatcher was their core program. That was their bread and butter, basically. Track builder was just the extra. That was just kind of like dessert. You have dessert with bread and butter? I don't know. But anyways. So I believe that we don't have to be experts on every single yard just because it's cool, like North Platte. I don't know what the hell runs at North Platte.
It depends on the day. It depends.
No. That's not my point. You got to know what trains run in North Platte. You got to know where the shippers are, the consignees. You got to know. That'd be a lot for North Platte because they have over 100 trains a day. So. Well, no, and that's the thing. That's the point. Do you know how much research I put into California?
A lot.
Yeah. It's crazy the amount of research that you do to try to do a prototype. But there is a lot of research. Now, this is where I'm hoping my buddy Scott is going to, because he has a lot of, he can provide me a lot of information. I was mentioning to him, I think one of the things I was looking for was a commodity table. I was talking to you about that, like basically, especially some of the flammables and stuff like that. I really don't understand the oil industry and the fuels and the refining and all that other stuff.
I know little about oils as well.
I don't know very much about it. All I know is they're tanks and they're loaded or they're empty and they have a funny little number plaque card that means something.
All I know is acid.
I know what an acid card. Yeah. But the thing is, what I'm saying is to make something into something else, and where, how okay, acid does this, and it turns into borax, and borax gets shipped to the grocery store or whatever. Yeah, but it's easy for me to go, hey, coal turns into steel. Okay, well, coal turns into steel because coal turns into steel in railroad tycoon. I don't know. I'm talking about Railroad Tycoon 2 or whatever. Coal used to turn into steel. So, or coal is used to as fuel for a fire. For actually, cement plants use coal as well, and they're also used at power stations. So. But lumber's an easy one, and goods are the easiest one of all, because goods are just, okay, here's the goods from factory to reseller, and that's it.
Machines and tools and stuff like that, that's...
No, I'm just saying they go in a boxcar and away they go, and that's it.
Yeah.
Actually, there's much easier ones, intermodal and auto racks.
Oh, yeah, that's...
You got a container, here it is.
Those are good.
Boom. You got cars on an auto rack?
Auto racks, though, the thing with making automobiles, that's a hard one because you have to get rubber.
No, yeah, but then but not all commodities are shipped by rail, especially in the modern auto industry. Mm-hmm. You're seeing less and less auto part trains. At least I don't see very many auto parts trains going in Oakville, for example. Oakville's going to shut down.
London, we see them.
Or not Oakville. Oakville's not shutting down their Ford. Oshawa's shutting down.
Mm.
But
London,
yeah.
we see them coming.
Okay. We're getting off topic. Stop. Let's get on with this. Talking about. I don't want to talk about commodity trees all night. Whatever. So let's get back to what we're talking about here. So I used this little example when I was talking to Emmett before I went back into the live stream as to what he wanted to do, and he got all excited about what I was thinking. Instead of having a thing where you have like my image here where the train's coming in and it's going 10 miles an hour or 15 miles an hour, going really fast and slowing down and coming to a stop and clicking on one to uncouple like you do in Freight Yard Manager. What's really happening is a Yardmaster has no control over the train, the crews do. So the crews are actually the AI. The AI could be very simple, it could be complicated, but it really doesn't matter too much as long as they go through the process figured out by the Yardmaster. The Yardmaster is planning the moves. So you don't see a 2D model top down of the actual trains. What you see more or less is something like this, although it would be a yard schematic with tag information of the cars that they're coming. So I'm going to use an empty one, for example, assuming that these are 2 yard tracks. What would happen is if a train was coming in and these are the two of many yard tracks and they're coming in, let's just say it has occupancy built in. Again, I don't have experience seeing the CRT displays of the yard. I would love to see some examples, but my idea of what would happen in a flat yard would be once the train hits the occupancy and like it's all lined up and the CTC set up for it to come in or whatever, or it's set to enter the yard, it has permission to enter. You give the train permission to enter yard so-and-so track, or you have permission to set off in so-and-so track. What would end up happening is if the entire track was free, then the entire track would flash a green. Maybe it would go from white to flashing green. In other words, it's saying it's got permission to come in, or maybe it would just be green. Let's say similar to this. So let's say this one, for example. Crap. Let's say, I don't know, where was we? Were we here? I don't know if we were here or not, but let's assume we were here then. So we're going to have him come into this yard. We flick the switches, or we set up the remote switches, and we say, okay, you're set to go here. Very similar to the dispatching board. And that just basically says, this is where you're lined up to come in. If it was to set off, there would be another command involved, but the train's coming in. What you're not seeing is, as say, and of course you would have like 100, maybe, I don't know if you'd have 100 cars per, let's say you have about 80, possibility of 80 cars per yard track or whatever the case may be. A lot of times if it's a 100-car train that's yarding, unless it's a big receiving yard, it's going to, the display is going to be either scrollable or across multiple monitors, or something like that. And I believe they do have multiple monitors for these, if I recall, in some of the bigger, especially in some of the bigger yards. As the train's coming in and hits the occupancy, this would go into, it would go red. But in order to do that, that would all of a sudden, to show the occupancy, maybe it would turn into red, but because he's entering the yard, I'm going to assume, let's say it's a flashing red. So what that means is the train is actually entered the track that it was cleared into, whereas anything else that's sitting in yard tracks are just sitting with red with the cars, or maybe some other dormant color. I don't know, but let's just say it's moving into the track. So we use either a certain color or something to indicate that the train is entering. It may have the train ID on it in one of the first blocks, or maybe the second, or whatever. But it would have basically, we could use the ETA for simplicity, or a countdown timer as to how many seconds, or probably the best one would be to use is the number of feet he's got left in the track. Instead of an ETA, why not have it constantly update how many feet it has left to get to the end of the track?
That would work.
Or to clear the switch is another one. So you could have maybe use 2 of these to have or even up to 3. It doesn't matter because these things are going to be huge. So it's going to have the train ID, maybe some particulars about the train, how many cars it has, how many loads, how many empties, how many feet. All kinds of information is going to be displayed, but then there would be variables indicating what's happening with this train as it's coming in. Once the countdown was finished and the train has stopped, the flashing would begin, and then the train would go through the coupling process. What I would recommend in that case is there would be a queuing process taking place. So similar to a window that just popped up like this, I can certainly program windows to pop up or text windows to pop up where I can have a set of procedures, such as my first procedure would be, let's say if it was to set off cars, and so this is going back the other way, I could look at the train's consist and see all the particular cars that are associated with it, and then I see the ones for that yard, and I could say click off boxes, like radio boxes of the various trains or various cars, like say click 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 click, and these particular cars are all set off to or I can basically set it and then assign set command. What that would do is that would basically tell the RTS Yardmaster, you're telling this train that he is to set off so-and-so cars in track 17, let's say. So he would go basically and do that. Meanwhile, while other trains are scheduled to come in, you're looking at various other uses for the yard. You're also assigning a yard switcher that's queuing up, and you can have him set up to go in once that's going, or you can set him to, if he was just an arrival, you can also set a queue up for once upon arrival of track 17, set power off to fuel track 1. So now you're giving it an additional queue command. So you're queuing up. It's kind of like stacking. Like, see, you got your delete stack commands. Where's I think I might have a stack in here of more than one. Might have one. Most of these looks like they have one stack. Do I have any? Do you see anything that says 2?
No.
I see 1s. I don't see any that have 2. Those probably had one and then I got rid of them. Well, that one's a fleet. No, I don't think I do have one. But anyways, the whole point of that was, oh, here's 2 right here. So see the stacks here, Emmett?
Uh-huh.
So what happens is you could basically stack a series of commands, very similar to what this is, because this is stack command, delete stack command, delete stack command. But it would tell you what that's about, like, okay, remove power and assign to such and such track. Or another stack command could be, upon arrival of train so and so, remove power, or wait for arrival of so and so. Wait for arrival. Say it has to wait for 2 trains to come in. So there's 2 arrivals that are coming. So you're basically telling it has to wait for not 1 but 2 trains before it can move the power over into the fuel track. So that's one way of doing it, and that allows the Yardmaster to basically dictate how things are happening in his yard.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is watching the hump. Now, it's great to see the cars roll down the tracks, and I love watching it, and I even like watching it in Freight Yard Manager. What's kind of cool about a display is the computer systems, as far as I'm aware, the computer system will automatically slow the cars down. It will automatically route the switches. But the other thing, what will happen is it also knows when to set the speed of the retarders at the one end, and of course at the very end is the final brakes. So no matter what it's set for, it has a final brake retarder, or I don't know if they're called retarders at the end, so that it doesn't go outside of. So it sets a final set of the brakes to make sure that the brakes are set. As they're rolling in and as they couple, what I see happening is the hump's in progress. You see the train that's in the hump lead, or the hump drill track, or whatever the hell you call that now. I can't think of the term. I think that's it, not the drill track. Or
drill track, I think, yeah.
No, it's not a drill. It's not drilling, though. Well, maybe it is, but the hump lead, let's call it. Say it's a dual hump lead like this, and it's a dual hump, which is kind of like this could look something like that, but not quite like that. But anyways, as the cars are coming down, you're seeing all the bowl tracks and everything is lining up, and when they connect, say 3 cars are coming down to this one, so 3 cars are coming down the hump, and then all of a sudden 1, 2, 3 pop up, and then you also see the cars, maybe a queue track, like just basically a summary of all the cars that are coming down the hump, and it's issuing to the closest hump train or hump car that's ready to couple. So this one's going to couple in 10 seconds to track so and so. This one's going to couple to. So you basically have a status line of everything that is coming down the hump. You also have a status line over here, or at least the hump lead, telling you what the next cars are. It may also have tag information as far as what track it's going to be assigned to. It may calculate when you have to stop the hump because it's overfilling, and you're going to need the trim to come in. It'll know right away too. It'll calculate right away if there's going to be an issue where you're going to need to drill. I don't think they usually run a hump and stop it halfway. I don't know if they do that in the prototype. I know we do it in Run 8.
They usually calculate it in real life.
They would calculate it beforehand, so they would drill beforehand. Or sorry, they would trim beforehand.
Yeah.
But all these same commands that I was talking about can be issued to the trim crew. So the trim crew standing by, you could issue commands on end of hump number 15 or whatever the hell you want to call the sequence number. Proceed to trim track 14, 16, and assign to departure track number South 3 at Barstow, or whatever, or South Yard at Barstow, or North 1 at Barstow. These are all things I'm actually familiar with Barstow, so I actually feel Barstow would be probably the most ideal place for me to actually do a hump simulation, because I know the most about California based on the number of years that I ran California, which would be kind of cool. And I think there would be a lot of people from Run 8 that would be kind of interested in it, and you know, that would be nice to get people. And I know it's not. I really want to do RTS 2, just to say I've done it. but at the same time, I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want to do something that my son's not interested in, because I'm the one not with the. You're the one with the enthusiasm about this, right?
Yeah, I'm probably the person with the enthusiasm.
Okay. It's good that he has the enthusiasm, because he's the one that's going to get me to show him how to do this, and basically we're going to program this together. So I think, it's 11 o'clock. I'm going to, his mom's just upstairs, so I don't want to make a lot of noise. We'll be up for an hour. I think that's what we'll do. So tomorrow, I think we'll start breaking into the code.
Yeah.
Wow. That's hard to believe. I was hoping to do it today, but we had to make some decisions as to how we were going to do it. Now, of course, the coding process, I'm not going to be going on YouTube or live streaming. So that's the direction we're going. If you guys have any ideas, suggestions, please post in the forum at the RTS Wikia. Hopefully, I will post a small summary. I know there's been a lot of YouTube videos today. We were going back and forth. There's still some ideas. I'm still going to look at some other game engines. I believe I'm going to do this in Just Basic as well, since I'm most familiar with it, and I could probably get it to do things a lot easier than trying to cope with some of the more powerful engines. And yes, Game Maker Pro 2 is much more powerful for what is required in this, I think. This is more of a task-oriented position to challenge those people who enjoy being a Yardmaster. And I really hope that this is something that I don't think it's ever been. I can't think of a Yardmaster simulator out there in the world right now. So I kind of think it's kind of a cool challenge for 2019 for me to do it. Or for us to do it. I say me because I'm so used to doing things like that myself. But now I have you to give ideas and try to be my memory, because I'm the one that's always forgetting things, and try to focus and give you an idea as far as the coding and
try to help out.
Well, at some point, as time goes on, this will give you your first experience, and then you might want to code. And don't get me wrong, I don't want you to think that you need to code when you grow up, because that's what my dad tried to get me into coding. And I really don't think I wanted to code. I just coded as a hobby. I coded for fun. But don't think for one minute that I'm saying, hey, yeah, you should code for a career. But it's something. You can start your own software company too. There's all kinds of things you could do, but the games are fun. But anyways, okay, so that's it for tonight, guys. We're gonna wind down for the evening and take it easy. But that's about it for now. So please leave your comments, suggestions, or otherwise. And I'll probably be back. I don't know if I'm gonna be back tomorrow with Scott or not. Sunday. Because I think I have you later. I'm going to have you a little bit longer tomorrow or something.
You'll have me from 6 till 7.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Never mind, that's Monday. No, your mom said something about me having you longer.
Yeah,
anyways,
she'll be out at the
I don't, oh, that's the one. Okay, so anyways, yeah. So I have you longer tomorrow, so tomorrow's going to be an interesting day. So we might get a lot done, we may not. We'll see. But it's probably not going to be on YouTube. So if we have some screenshots or some videos to show and some first, I'll certainly show you what I got. And I'm not worried about people stealing my ideas. I could care less. If people want to steal my ideas, go for it. I don't think anybody's going to be stealing this idea because they're going to think we're nuts. No, it ain't going to happen.
Be like in the comments, good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Good luck, buddy.
Good luck.
Or Jan, or whatever else I'm getting. So anyways, have a good one, guys. Have a good weekend, and, wish us luck. Because, this stuff scares me. It scares me to program. Yeah, I don't want to program. No. But, no, it gives us something to do, and yeah, I think I think we can really build something special if we can get this. So, like I said, wish us luck. We're gonna need it. Anyways, we'll talk to you later. Take care.